I believe I am addressing Monsieur Hector McQueen.
Guilty as charged.
I beg your pardon?
Oh, sorry. Just an expression. My father used to say it.
You must have had an interesting childhood. I am Hercule Poirot.
No need to be modest. You're a detective.
You are Monsieur Ratchet's secretary?
I am Mr. Ratchet's secretary. Just over a year. I mainly take care of translating certain texts for him. Mr. Ratchet only speaks English.
Prepare yourself for a shock. Your employer, Monsieur Ratchet, is dead.
So they got him after all.
What do you mean? You are assuming he was murdered?
I know he had enemies.
What can you tell me about Monsieur Ratchet?
He was American. He was an antiques dealer. I don't know much more. Mr. Ratchet never talked about himself or his life, but I think Ratchet wasn't his real name, and he left the United States to run away from something, or someone.
Yes?
He started getting letters, threatening letters.
Do you still have them?
I have one.
Did you know that Monsieur Ratchet had asked for my help?
Asked you? No, I didn't know.
He knew he was in danger. When did you last see him?
Last night around 10 o'clock, I should say.
Did you like your employer, Monsieur McQueen?
No, I did not. He was, I'm sure, a cruel and dangerous man.
Can you tell me your movements last night?
I went back to my compartment. I read a little. In Belgrade, I went out onto the platform to smoke, but it was cold. I quickly went back in. I then went to Mr. Ratchet's compartment to take some dictation for him. I left around 10 o'clock. I saw Captain Arbuthnot. We ended up chatting in my compartment. Then we went out on the platform to quickly stretch our legs at Vinkovsky. He left around 2 o'clock.
Thank you. I will need to check Monsieur McQueen's story with Captain Arbuthnot. I found a diary in Monsieur Ratchet's safe. Did you know about it?
I kept a business appointment book, but I know he had a personal diary as well. That looks like it.
Are you a smoker?
Yes, I smoke cigarettes. I've tried to quit, but no luck.
Can you give me this letter, please?
Of course, here it is.
Was Monsieur Ratchet a smoker?
No, he hated the smell of smoke.
The train is completely trapped because of the avalanche. Hopefully, not for too long. Good morning, madam. I am Hercule Poirot.
Caroline Hubbard. What can I do for you, Mr. Poirot?
I am the bearer of unfortunate news.
It's obvious with all the commotion that something has happened.
Madame Hubbard, I am afraid your neighbor, Monsieur Ratchet, was murdered last night.
Oh my God! I knew it! I knew it!
I would like to ask you some questions, but first, may I inspect your room?
Of course, yes, you must.
I must admit I'm not right this time. Think, Poirot, that is not a good answer. I do not think that's the right answer. I'm right again. That happens to me a lot. The luxury of the Orient Express is present in every detail. This door connects to Monsieur Ratchet's compartment. It was latched on this side. Here is a jacket button. It bears the logo of the Orient Express. Ha-ha! Golden mustache. Madame, please tell me about last night.
The murderer was right here in my compartment. I woke up. All in the dark it was. I was just so scared I couldn't scream. I pressed the call button. I pressed and pressed. I heard footsteps running in the corridor, then a knock on my door. "Come in," I screamed. And I switched on the lights at the same time. And would you believe it? There wasn't a soul there.
You think he went back into the other compartment?
How do I know where he went? I had my eyes shut tight. The conductor came in. I told the man what had happened, and he didn't seem to believe me. I asked him to search the room, but he found nothing. I told the conductor to look at the door between the compartments, and sure enough, it wasn't bolted. Well, I soon saw to that. I told him to bolt it, then and there.
How is it you didn't bolt the door between the two compartments?
But I had. Well, as a matter of fact, I asked that Swedish lady, Olsen, Greta, if it was bolted, and she said it was.
How was it you could not see for yourself?
I was already in bed, and my toiletry bag was hanging on the hook of the door. I couldn't see the latch from where I was.
What time was it when you asked her to do this for you?
Oh, it must have been around 10:30 or 10:45 p.m. She'd come along to see if I had an aspirin. But instead of opening my door, she opened Mr. Ratchet's door by mistake. He said something quite rude, like, "Not a chance, lady, you're too old." It shocked her. She came in. I told her where to find the aspirin, and she got it out of my toiletry bag. Poor girl, she didn't have a good night.
The same could be said for Monsieur Ratchet. It appears Mademoiselle Olsen may be the last person to see Ratchet alive. Is this your handkerchief?
No, not at all.
Yet it is embroidered with an initial H, like your name.
I don't care. It's not mine, and I would certainly never buy something so impractical as that frilly thing.
Are you a smoker?
No, definitely not. Filthy habit.
I found a jacket button on your table. It looks like it belongs to a train employee. The button bears the logo of the Orient Express.
Well, of course the conductor came in last night, but he didn't go near that table.
Still, it's a safe bet that it belongs to the conductor. I'll check his jacket later, to be sure. I have not finished inspecting your room. If you don't mind, let's see if Mrs. Hubbard was telling the truth about the latch of the connecting door. This hook is probably where Mrs. Hubbard hung her toiletry bag. I can see the latch very well from here, even with the toiletry bag attached. I'll have to clear that up with Mrs. Hubbard. Mrs. Hubbard, you told me that the door connecting the two compartments was closed, correct?
Yes, it was, as I told you. I was already in bed and my toiletry bag was hanging on the hook of the door. I couldn't see the latch from where I was. That's why I asked Miss Olson to check if it was closed.
Are you sure everything you've told me is accurate, Madame Hubbard?
Of course. I have an excellent memory.
Mrs. Hubbard, I tested putting your toiletry bag on the door hook as you told me. From your bed, you can easily see the latch on the door. The toiletry bag does not hide the latch at all.
Are you saying I'm lying? It may have been stuck somehow in a different position, or I may not have seen it in the darkness. Or I didn't think to look, you irritating man.
Details matter, madame. A man has been most savagely murdered. You will excuse me if I attempt to separate the truth from the false.
Forget my toiletry bag and focus on who entered my compartment. Probably after killing Mr. Ratchet.
Madame Hubbard is a force to be reckoned with, but I suspect I'm not done with her. Thank you for your assistance, madame. Monsieur Michel, I must ask you a few questions if you don't mind.
I will do everything I can to help.
First of all, tell me about yourself.
Very well. My name, as you know, is Pierre Michel. I am from Calais. I've been with the company for over 15 years.
Thank you. No, not good. I'm right again. That happens to me a lot. Can you provide me with a listing of the passengers and their rooms, please?
Yes, certainly.
Are you a smoker?
Indeed.
Do you smoke e-cigarettes?
No, tobacco only.
I would like to reconstruct with your help the events of last night. Monsieur Ratchet retired to bed. When?
Almost immediately after dinner, sir. Actually, before we left Belgrade.
Did anybody go into his compartment after that?
His valet, monsieur. Monsieur Masterman, and then his secretary, the young American gentleman, Monsieur McQueen.
And that is the last time you saw or heard of him?
No, monsieur. You forget that Monsieur Ratchet rang his bell around 12:40 a.m., soon after we had stopped. I knocked at the door, but he called out in French, "Ce n'est rien, je me suis trompé." I then left to answer another bell that had just rung.
Where were you at 1:15 a.m.?
I was sitting on my little seat at the end of the car, facing up the corridor.
Are you sure?
I left a little after 1 a.m. to speak about the snow with my colleague Jean in the bar car. I came back later. There was a call. I remember speaking to you.
Indeed, I remember. Carry on.
It was the American lady, Madame Hubbard. She thought she saw a man in her compartment. Then, around 1:50 a.m., I made the bed for Monsieur Ratchet's secretary, Monsieur McQueen. He had spent the evening talking with the English Captain Arbuthnot. At 2 a.m., I returned to my place and stayed there until dawn.
What is the last station where we stopped?
Vinkovsky.
Could someone have come on board?
Possibly. I was very busy. Owing to the weather, we were a few minutes late. We left at 12:10 a.m.
I found a button from an Orient Express staff jacket. Did you lose one by any chance?
No, monsieur. As you can see, I have all my buttons. It is not mine.
That was easy. must admit I'm not right this time. Think, Poirot. That is not a good answer. I must admit I'm not right this time. Think, Poirot. That is not a good answer. While Monsieur Michel was chatting with Monsieur Fauchet in the bar car between 1 a.m. and 2 a.m., the murderer could have escaped Ratchet's room without being seen. That's the right answer. This is wrong, but I'm never far from the truth. The murderer may have impersonated Ratchet by calling Monsieur Michel to make it seem that Ratchet was still alive at 12:37 a.m. That was easy. Et voilà.
So, my friend, have you found our killer?
Not yet, but I will tell you what I have learned.
Please.
Our assassin could have gotten on the train at Vinkovsky disguised as a conductor, entered Ratchet's room, and killed him. Then he walked out through Madame Hubbard's connecting door, where he lost a button from his jacket. He had to wait for Monsieur Michel to be absent. He waited too long. The train had left the station.
He was trapped aboard.
Indeed. He had opened the window to make it look that he'd escaped that way. However, if he waited until the train stopped again due to snow, his footprints would have been found.
The murderer is still among us, on the train.
There's a problem with the second-class toilets.
What now?
All morning passengers have been complaining that the door is locked, so I went to check. I knocked, but no one answered. I didn't think I should open it without speaking to you first.
You did well, Monsieur Michel. Lead the way.
I use my master key. But who is she? Is she alive?
She is breathing.
Then if she isn't dead, isn't she our murderer?
That, my friend, is what we must find out. The ticket reads Joanna Locke, traveling in compartment 105. Miss, can you hear me? She's breathing. Her pulse is strong. There is no sign of physical violence. This woman is sleeping very soundly. This woman is sound asleep. Given her location, I would say she has been drugged and deposited here.
Well, at least it's not another murder on my train.
The train is, of course, full.
Monsieur, the list I gave you indicates that Hildegard Schmidt shares her compartment.
I will want to talk to her later. For now, we will concentrate on this mysterious young lady. Let's return her to her more comfortable bed.
Good idea. Pierre, locate this woman's room and fetch the doctor. Yes, sir.
I will question her when she wakes up.
Please, let me know what you learn.
Mademoiselle Locke's compartment is 105. I suggest we return her to her more comfortable bed.
Yes, hopefully she will awaken soon.
This direction looks promising. A cup of tea with white residue at the bottom. A briefcase and a wagon-lit conductor's jacket, and a button is missing.
Poirot, what if the briefcase is booby-trapped? Poirot, I'm disappointed in you. I was certain you would have it by now. We really need to find the combination. Have you tried 0000? Have you tried 1, 2, 3, 4? But of course you know what you're doing. It isn't booby-trapped, is it? If you need a break, I can ask Jean to make you some coffee. So, Poirot, any luck so far? No, that's mine. I never remember my passwords, so I make them easy ones. So, Poirot, any luck so far? Have you tried 1, 2, 3, 4? If you need a break, I can ask Jean to make you some coffee. But of course you know what you're doing. It is booby-trapped, is it? Have you tried 0000? We really need to find the combination. Poirot, I'm disappointed in you. I will certainly...
Te vas a callar la puta boca.
No, that's mine. I never remember my passwords.
Book. Silent like a mouse, please.
I'm sorry. You're right. I'll be quiet now. You need to concentrate. I will not utter another word. Not one.
Book. There will be another murder on the Orient Express in a moment. The stuffed animal is the same as in the photo found at the crime scene.
What a coincidence.
Mademoiselle Locke appears to have been investigating Monsieur Ratchet. Mademoiselle Locke seems very interested in our victim.
Of course. She has studied her target.
Possibly. This badge says that Joanna Locke is an American detective with the Berkshire Police Department in Massachusetts.
An American police officer? Oh.
She has a gun.
Come, Poirot. Criminals are often known to carry one.
Ratchet was stabbed, not shot. But then why take it on the train? Her driver's license confirms her identity. She is American.
These are fake IDs. It's certain. Look, she's waking up.
Thanks to you, I would not be surprised if our murder victim were also waking up.
What?
Oh, my head. What's all the yelling about?
Who are you? Give me a good reason why you should not be in handcuffs.
I can give you a reason, Book. Whose handcuffs will we use? I have none. Do you?
Well,
You are Joanna Locke, mademoiselle?
Yes, Joanna Locke. I'm a detective. Berkshire, Massachusetts Police.
I have found your credentials, mademoiselle.
And I know who you are, Mr. Poirot.
Then, if the introductions are complete, perhaps the explanations may begin.
I'll try. It's simple, really. I'm on the trail of a murderer.
I had just been promoted to detective after 5 years on patrol. It was my first time on a major case. It had been a month since Daisy Armstrong was kidnapped. The Armstrongs were desperate for some sign of hope. I was there only for paperwork, to fill in some blanks. A topographical map, often more important than a road map in these mountains. The investigation is now part of a pile of investigations, and my captain sent me here just to dot some I's and cross some T's. The crime was audacious. How could the kidnapper know which was the window of Daisy's room? No, they could use a ladder to reach it, and no, they could enter the room without being seen. The misspellings are clearly on purpose, and they didn't return the child when the ransom was paid. How could the child be taken with so many people in the house? I can't imagine the pain her parents felt when they realized Daisy was gone. How are they going to feel when they realize I have no answers for them? Only more questions. That's why I'm here. A damn computer glitch. Or somebody pushed delete instead of save. Whatever happened, we lost the nanny's deposition. So my entire contribution to the investigation is to take it again. The phone record of the night of the kidnapping. The last call was for 911. Good evening. Colonel Armstrong?
Yes. You're the detective they phoned about.
Joanna Locke.
I don't remember you.
I'm newly assigned to the case.
It's about time more detectives were involved. My wife, Sonia, she hasn't been herself. Every day is a waking nightmare for us. Tell me you've uncovered something new.
I'm here to speak to your daughter's nanny. There was a computer problem. Her earlier statement has been lost.
Oh, I see. We had hoped. Well, do as you wish. I won't be far if you need me.
What a dear child. Sympathy and support for the Armstrong family during this difficult time. Thoughtful, but never enough. I've earned a gold mustache. Their fairy tale became a nightmare. A toy train. Now here I am on a real one. Lyon, in France. What a lovely looking city. Hello, are you Suzanne Moreau, Daisy's nanny?
Yes?
I'm Joanna Locke, a detective working on Daisy's case.
Is there any news?
I'm afraid not.
How can I help you?
I'm really sorry. I'm afraid I have to take your statement again concerning the evening of Daisy's disappearance. There was a computer problem. Your statement was accidentally deleted.
Of course. I want to help any way I can.
Tell me about that night in your own words.
The Armstrongs had a party to raise money for a museum, I think. Mrs. Armstrong is on their board. I was in charge of Daisy. I stayed with the little one all evening, playing with her and reading books to her. She couldn't sleep with all the noise and the comings and goings.
When did you notice Daisy was missing?
I was only gone 5 minutes to phone my mother. She's in the hospital. When I returned, Daisy wasn't in her bed. I thought she might have gone to look at the party, but then I saw the ransom note on her pillow. I screamed and screamed. I couldn't stop.
Did you notice anything unusual before that?
I was with Daisy all evening. Finally, she fell asleep. I didn't see anyone else or notice anything in particular.
Do you have any idea who did this?
No! I can't see who could have done such a horrible thing. The Armstrongs are such good people. Like my own family.
Thank you for giving me your statement again. I'll get back to you if I have any questions.
I won't be far.
Okay, I have Suzanne's statement, but her answers need some checking. This information does not correspond to what Suzanne told me. Suzanne said she left Daisy alone for 5 minutes, but Mrs. Armstrong says she stayed with Daisy for a while and Suzanne did not return. That is a great detective job. The world through the eyes of a child seems so sweet. A gold mustache, a toy castle. Thank you very much. When I was a kid, I had a police station and a tiny squad car with a siren that really worked.
Mrs. Armstrong, my name is Joanna Locke. I'm a detective investigating the kidnapping of your daughter. May I talk to you? When is your baby due? Mrs. Armstrong? Sonia?
I don't want to talk. I just want to see my daughter again. That's all that matters.
The poor woman. I can't imagine how she... Everything looks okay here. Nothing shocks me here. Everything looks okay here. Nothing shocks me here. That's it. No rookie mistake there.
Mrs. Armstrong? Let me show you this.
Daisy, my little Daisy. I miss her so much. How good it is to see her face.
I can't imagine the pain you're feeling right now.
She loved her little stuffed animal, Fluffy. She took him everywhere with her. The kidnappers took it as well. They didn't have to. That means they wouldn't hurt her, doesn't it?
Every lead will be followed up. You have my word on that.
Thank you. I shouldn't lose hope. Somehow.
I know it isn't my case, but I just made a promise, and I mean to keep it.
Do you know where I can find Miss Moreau?
She's in her room. Last door on the left.
Tell me about the night Daisy was taken, especially anything about your daughter and Suzanne Moreau.
Apart from seeing to our guests, I took a moment to check on Suzanne and Daisy in Daisy's room. Suzanne wasn't there, but Daisy was asleep. I sat with her for 10 minutes or so. Suzanne didn't return while I was there, but there's no reason for her to sit there all night when Daisy is asleep. I went back downstairs.
May I come back if I have more questions?
Of course. Anything I can do.
Okay, the story is Sonia and Suzanne. Everything looks okay here. That is not exactly what Suzanne told me earlier. Suzanne was on the phone more than 5 minutes. Hey, I'm a pretty good detective after all.
Did you see Miss Moreau during the party?
I remember seeing her at some point, but otherwise no. I was too busy with my guests. Wear the smile, shake the proffered hand.
Do you know where I can find Miss Moreau?
Her room is upstairs across the hall from Daisy's. She seldom leaves it.
How are you doing? Are you holding up?
You know, in the military, you're supposed to have the stiffest of upper lips. The Desert War taught me that soon enough. But this, it's difficult. Damned difficult. Harder on my good lady, of course.
I won't be long.
Take whatever time you need.
If I understand you correctly, you left Daisy when she was not asleep?
The party was very loud. Daisy was too wound up to sleep. I read her a Motley Mule detective story to try and put her to sleep. Daisy finally fell asleep. Right before Motley Mule solved his case in the book I was reading her. I had to make a quick phone call. No more than 5 minutes. But when I came back, Daisy was gone.
Are you sure you were only gone for 5 minutes?
5, 6, what does it matter? It was very quick.
You say you were only away 5 or 6 minutes, but Mrs. Armstrong says she was alone there more like 10 minutes. And the phone record shows that you stayed on the call for more than 30 minutes, way longer than you said.
My mother is extremely ill. It's difficult for me. I may have lost track of time. When I came back, Daisy had disappeared. It must have been a coincidence.
You have to be precise, Suzanne. A little girl's life is at stake.
Why are you doing this? I didn't do anything wrong. I would never hurt Daisy.
I need to check Suzanne's story. She's panicking. Why now? What is she afraid of? The detective gets it right.
The number you have called is not in service at this time. Please hang up and dial again, or contact your service provider.
The number Suzanne called is not in service? A hospital? That is a great detective job. The kidnapper places a ladder under the window to Daisy's room. Then he joins the party, just one guest in the crowd. He somehow knows when Suzanne leaves the room, then sneaks upstairs. He opens Daisy's window, carries her down the ladder, and vanishes. I should see if the Armstrongs can confirm what Suzanne told me. I spoke with Suzanne. She was phoning her mother. That's why you didn't see her when you went to check on Daisy.
Yes, her mother. I tried to call the poor woman earlier that week, but the hospital said she's been in a medically induced coma for more than 2 months.
Suzanne told me she called her mother, but she would have known her mother was in a coma. I should see if the Armstrongs can confirm what Suzanne... Ms. Moreau told me she called her mother.
Well, why not? I believe they are very close, and the poor woman is not well. She needs some experimental treatment that isn't available yet in France.
I won't be long.
Take whatever time you need.
The number you called that night is no longer in service.
I don't understand. That's the number the hospital gave me to call my mother's room.
You told me you were on the phone with your mother when Daisy was abducted.
As we said earlier, I didn't pay attention and was on the phone longer than I said. But since my mother is very ill, she had to leave her hometown, Lyon, because the treatment is not approved yet in France. She is in an hospital in Boston for a special treatment. I call her every night to check on her. When I came back, Daisy was gone. I'll never forgive myself.
Are you sure you called your mother?
Yes, every night since she was admitted in December.
Suzanne, I think you really care for Daisy. If you do, then tell me the truth. You can't have been calling your mother while she's in a coma.
My mom really is in a hospital in Boston. She really is in a coma. I wasn't calling her. I was on the phone with my boyfriend, Noah.
Why lie about it? Why are you panicking?
Because he's gone. I haven't heard from him since the night of the kidnapping. I'm afraid he's somehow connected to Daisy's disappearance. That he was just using me somehow. But I swear I talked to him. Yes, for more like 30 minutes that night. So he couldn't have kidnapped Daisy at the same time we were talking.
But he could have kept you talking so someone else could take Daisy.
Yes, you can see why I lied. Can't you? I was afraid you'd suspect me of having something to do with it. You can understand that, can't you?
Suzanne, I want to believe you, but you've made it harder to find Daisy. Do you realize that?
Oh my god. What have I done?
What's most important is not what you've done, but what you do now. Go. I'll be back to talk to you. No more lies, Suzanne. For Daisy. No more lies. Noah. The name might lead us to that little girl. I am on this case now, whether my captain wants me to be or not.